taken the bell parts out, and the wire must be still there in the making.
Oh, the house.
And you had, when you wanted anybody,
Yes.
you pushed a cord along.
A corner.
You pushed a thing along, and what it does, it tells you all the different rooms, and then what they do is sets alarm system goes off, and then you can get staff from here to there. It's like a union, and
Like a union house.
yeah, it's like a big house, but it had a copper cord.
Yes.
Instead of banging on the fruit when you wanted anybody,
Yes.
it would set alarm out, and then some servants from one place would go down and do what they had to do.
Yes.
It was like a bloody place like that. And when we looked at it, we thought, God, there's the dining room, the living room, and by God, how the council still left it. And then, of course, they took that away when they tidied up the flats. And then, of course, the bathroom was in one place, so they ended up no more baths, and so they put them into showers.
Yes,
And
into
then
showers.
Yeah, they put the shower, and then in the big room, they converted that to a kitchen and a living room, and then you had a bar thing. So when you wanted anything, you just went up and got it. You just in a cubicle.
Yes.
And then either you sat on the bars or you just walked out there and sat in your armchair. In other words, you just used it like a kitchen and a living room.
Yes.
And that is what it is today. So the youngsters have got, but they've got to climb all those stairs to the top. I think you would have had enough of that.
Yes, wow. If
Going up
you
there,
accustomed
they're
to that, you do
tricky stairs.
exercises.
They're tricky stairs and all. And when
Yes.
one slip, whoa, I hated it. And my pack, she came up once. I said,
Who can come? Wow, you pat come once.
yeah, and she
The
said,
steps.
he was like this when you got to the top.
Yes, but when
And
she
it-
was younger.
So what I used to do, we had a telephone exchange, so what we used to do, we used to telephone down each other.
Oh, so you live at the
And,
top, he live at the
it
bottom.
reminds you of the big house where you called up somebody.
Yes.
It was so laughable.
Yes.
But she used to have that, and then I couldn't always get down in her flat, was tiny.
Yes.
So what, and the dogs and all, don't ask me how she got them all in there.
How many dogs she has, your
Well,
girlfriend?
she had 3 dogs and a cat.
Wow, 3 dogs and a cat, so nice.
And the cat, we didn't know quite what to do with it, but when
Yes.
the cat passed away, of course,
Oh, with condolences.
and a cat's protection thing, so we were going to, and she put that down in the garden. Well, the dogs, of course, she took them different,
Yes.
and then she said, oh, I spent all that time, so I thought, so instead of me spending the money and taking it down to the dogs
Yes.
memorial, I decided to put all 3 in the front here.
Yes.
So in other words, I didn't want to spend all that extra
and the
money.
funeral, yes.
And then after that, especially when one of them said, she had a lovely picture of the dog, and she said, now I've got to get a stone for it. And I thought, God, you know, bad enough getting things for us,
Wow.
let alone
It's
taking
true.
it for the animals as well.
Yes.
So in the end, I decided it wasn't. So I've got the 3 pictures, and nobody would know where the 3 dogs are anyway. Not you, you ain't got a clue. The only guess that you would know, and you've got to hunt for that, would be part of the dog chain or something like that.
Yes, so I haven't got that clue, but
And,
you must know what it is.
most people would
Yes.
say he's probably dropped it and it grew over, but they don't know any different than that. And the only memorial I should keep to is the pictures.
There's nice pictures you have
And,
before
um,
you
and-
show me.
But I haven't got to
Yes.
spend
Yes.
all that additional
Money.
money and take it down to Felbridge or somewhere like that. Which
Yes.
That's the nearest, I think. And put it, and then I've got to get a stone for 3 of it.
Yes.
That's going to cost me a lot more money.
For the doggies. Do they have
For
a
the
stone for
doggies.
doggies down there?
Yeah, oh yes, and there's a proper stone,
Wow, I never saw
just
any
like
of
the
them.
humans, and you're literally walking into a wood,
Yes.
and it's just like walking into a big house. The garden's gone, of course, and I said, well, that's strange. And you just go down to Felbridge like that, turn into that, and you go down the lane, and you're thinking you're just going to a big house.
Yes.
And when you get to a big house, there's which was a large garden. Well,
Yes.
of course, that's a car park. And,
Yes.
and the person comes out from the wall behind, which was been the house, So it looks like you're going into somebody's big garden.
Yes.
And what you do in the corner, you go round there, and all the rest of the garden was all these memorials.
Of cat and dogs.
Cats
And
and a dog. It's a dog thing more or less.
mostly.
Yes, and then what they do, some have got a marker, some have got stones, some are not. And I'm not joking. She went down there, and it was raining, see. And I said, "How many times you go down here?" She said, "Oh, once or twice a week." And then anyway, and she's giving it a right honour because I don't know if it's her father anyway. And I wrote some things down. I nearly got told off because she thought I was looking into her affairs, which the answer wasn't.
Yes, into her
In
affairs
other
of the
words,
doggies.
interfered with her family sort of thing.
Yes.
And I thought, well, I just wrote down the name of the dog. So the people have ideas and they think you're writing something else down. And I said, well, if I want to know you, how would I know if you haven't got a surname and you haven't got a house? I mean, if it's in a block of flats, well, I'm not bothered because I can always ask a name.
Yes.
And I thought, well, I won't bother about that. Because the only reason why that is, I think what causes that.
What the causes?
Why she got a bit chasey like that.
The doggy chasing you.
Yeah, well, anyway, I'm going back to the dogs anyway. What it is, some have got, marble tops with the names.
Yes.
Some are in gold, some are, all that. And what they do, and then I heard her say, oh, I go down every week and a bit of rain come down.
Oh, for the doggies.
Always going to get wet.
Oh.
And then I thought, well, how long ago he's been laying there? How long has he been there?
Who say that?
Well, I
Pat, you or whom?
well,
You.
the girl, she said,
Oh, the girl.
she said, he'll get wet. And I thought, God, he's been gone.
Yes, so the
nearly
girl was
a year.
visiting the dog. Yes. Oh, your
And
girlfriend.
I thought myself, see, the mind doesn't catch itself up.
Yes.
And you could be thinking all things yourself like that.
Yes, your
And
girlfriend.
then next minute, all I've got to pay this out. I haven't got enough for that. And the next minute, because it was raining,
But your girlfriend put a pedestal for the doggy.
I shall have to find enough money now to put a stone.
Oh,
and I
okay.
thought myself,
Well, no, why you need it?
and when you're
Yes.
only getting a limited amount each week,
Yes.
I thought myself,
For work, because you work in that days.
and then I said to her, well, the only way I know what they do,
Yes.
quite easy, all she's got to go in there, and what you do, you can pay so much in, like every month or whatever it is, to Alex Jones, and they were set up.
How much do you pay every month?
I don't know, but you can do. I could have done that, but of course, with Pat's point of view, and then I said, while I'm doing that, that's when I'm half paid. I've half paid the thing to sort of the stone.
Oh, Pat pay that thing. Yes.
In the stone, I've half paid it.
Yes.
And then I pay the other half when I receive it.
Yes.
And at the moment, that ain't cheap.
Oh, over £2,000, something like that.
I don't know. It's a few £100 already.
Yes, expensive.
And I've only started.
But you started before. You told me you already have the money.
Half the money.
Yes.
What I got to do, but I don't know what the rest of the money be to finish it.
Oh, Madonna. So you want to save money or you want to have fun with your girlfriend? It's one of the other.
It could be another couple of hundred or so, but to finish it off. So
yes.
you're talking for one stone.
Yes, expensive.
So
yes.
it could, like you said, that stone what I've just got. So once it's finished, it might be £500 to £600.
Expensive, man.
Know, and I thought myself, well, that's it. So anyway, I looked at the site. I know the stone won't be here. It might be at end of the month, probably. Towards the end of the month.
Yes.
But, what it means is, on top of that, you still got to do all your running, your own expenses.
Yes.
Like you say, you've got to live with the rest. But the best part of that, it's not costing me more than you think, because somewhere between the lines,
yes,
a friend of Pat's
yes
knew Pat for years. And
okay.
I think she's helping me out in finance.
She helping you
In other words,
financially.
she's allowed so much money to help me out.
Yes, I
So
heard you.
I'm, but as far as the family concerned, they don't know nothing. In other words, I've never said anything, but it's helped me up, you know.
Yes, your family is
and I'm
helping you.
hoping she's the reason why, because she's known this person in Norfolk for over 30 odd years,
Yes.
30 or 40 years, and she used to go up this. And as a thank you, that said there's something to
Yes, helping you.
so it doesn't take the strain on you.
Yes.
So I was thinking in a way, but like you said, there's still a lot of other expenses I will have to, like you say, TV, something else to do. So it's helping me overall.
Yes.
Well, some people, the only other way they could do it is to go down to Alex Jones.
Yes.
And put a plan in, and you pay it off each month.
Yes.
It means a bit more expense, but in my point of view, there's no need because
Yes.
that's covered. And my point of view, when I go through one of my insurance,
Yes. They pay you for your funeral.
I'm covered.
Yes.
And a lot of some of them don't put in any money in their lifetime, and what it means is when something comes up, they haven't got the money to pay for it.
Yes, I heard you.
And
yes.
and they go, sometimes it'll come through the family, or sometimes it'll come from one way or another, and they are paying somebody, another funeral director, somebody like Alex Jones, and say each month I pay for my own expenses.
Yes, how much do you pay for your expenses?
With mine,
£5 a month, £5 a week?
mine is paid through
For the insurance?
Through the insurance, which is through the investment.
All right.
So I have got nothing to worry about.
Okay, cool.
But in Pat's point of view, I thought, well, God, if I do that, it'll have to come out of me.
Yes.
Which is normal, which is natural, but she does it as a thank you for what they helped.
Okay, cool.
So it saved
earn your money. It's a lot of money.
It saved me a good old whack.
Yes, that's awesome.
But when I looked at it, I think, by God, woman, I thought she was going to give me a fraction.
Oh.
When I looked at it, I thought,
yes.
I just laughed at it. I thought, I'll just give you a figure. And,
Yes.
and she said, oh, that's not much problem. But she said, if it's a bit more, I'm afraid you'll have to.
Who would say that? Who you have to pay? Who has to pay? Who told you that?
Her friend said, well, if it's a bit more,
yes,
then you'll have to square it up. But I thought myself, well, it was a nice gesture in the first place.
That's cool. Yes.
It's like saying, oh, 400 or 500 quid I'll give you, and it'd say it's 700.
Okay.
And you will only have to pay 300 instead of 700.
Yes.
That's a difference.
That's awesome.
So it means you saved yourself a hell of a lot because you haven't got it set it up.
Yes.
With another director.
Okay, I heard you.
See, it's an easy way. I mean to say, you would have to pay it through the insurance, which they would cost, plus how much it was going to be. So
Yes.
So if you've got somebody to help you out,
yes,
well, that can help. That will go towards. But not all companies investment companies have got a policy.
Yes.
To pay the funeral. You see, if you one of the family, you can go through. There's one called a co-op. Well, that's the cheapest, and the service couldn't be matched. But if there's anything over,
yes,
well, that's your fault. We the minimal. In other words, you're only going to get that standard. If you've got somebody to do that,
yes, your family can certainly.
You can. If it would say you had through the co-op,
yes,
certain amount of your money you got to pay in each month.
Yes,
goes to pay, say, the co-op.
Yes,
but,
the co-op.
But that comes out of your money, see?
Yes.
Well, with my point of view, I don't pay that.
Okay.
Mine is paid through investment.
Yes.
And investment pays that off.
So what investments do you have?
At the end of the you do at the end of the day, there may be a small insurance which you may pay in the year.
Yes.
But all the money which you've saved.
Yes.
Over the years.
Yes.
It's all covered.
Yes.
In other words, I told you out the silly three in a tanner and 5 shillings I paid in the old days, and it was ridiculous. And that went into say, a 10-year investment or a 50-year
Yes.
investment. They did things like that then. I don't know what they do now.
I haven't got a
And what
clue
they
about
do-
investments.
No, but what they do, and then of course they give you the interest,
Yes.
and that went into what they call offshore bonds and all the rest.
Short bonds, yes.
And what they did, and then what you do each month, that added and added, and before you know, instead of a few hundred,
Yes.
you go into 1,000, and even if they tax it and all the rest, you're still given a guaranteed sum at the end.
Yes. Yes.
And a lot of people, I know quite a few girls that used to be on their own. They
Yes.
hadn't got no money. They just went to a job. No money was put in,
Yes.
and a lot of them said, "I've got my teeth to pay. I've got this to pay and that to pay."
Yes.
And all they're doing for the rest of their life is paying so much a month into something like, which they could have done when they was younger,
Yes.
when they was in the 15 or 14 or 15.
I heard you.
And then they go and get married and they probably get to the 40s and 50s. Well,
Because they're thinking to have a nice husband to pay for
they're
everything.
thinking between 40s and 60s
Yes.
that they would get money. But if they started that when they was 15,
Wow, very young. Now it's this
when
thing,
they're 15 and left school,
It's good to work. Yes.
they would have had
More money.
a lot more money, and they would be better off.
Yes.
Because they started late,
Yes.
they don't get enough. There isn't enough interest to push it.
To push the money. Yes,
Even
I know.
if the money is low,
Yes.
on a long term,
Yes.
it pays. And they say, well, I don't know whether I should be lived that long, but you don't know your life.
Yes.
What you're going to be. Some go away at 40, another one could be over 80. Nobody knows what age you live.
Yes.
But what he means is the earlier you can put a thing in,
Yes.
and a lot of these kids will say, well, I can go clubbing, I can do that at 14 and 15, I can go...
At
do that."
20s, at
And then
20s.
if you put the money in, it's like my brother-in-law said, if you got a good job when you left school,
Yes.
put that money in, and he said before long, there's a couple of, I told you many times I bet, they put their money in when they was 14 and 15, and when they did, when they had this oil job come
Yes.
up, which is rare,
And they have work and a lot of
he
money
went,
for retirement.
He went round digging, the digging and helping out with the
Yes.
coal. Now, where do you think she did? She went out and helped out with the, cooking and for the boys,
Yes.
and in the end they made enough money to put a deposit on a house.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes.
And
then,
when they finished, they had so many. I think in
what
the
years?
year,
70s.
they had so much weeks off, and they always flew you back to the main line.
Yes.
After that, you went home on your own accord. But what do you
Yes.
mean? Because the planes would just fly back over, or the boat, whatever it was. But they could put that money into their own accounts,
Yes.
and that money, instead of saying, "Well, I'm going out for this, I'm going out for that,"
Yes.
they put deposit on a house, and when the contract was finished,
Yes.
they had that money, and of course half the house was built.
Okay.
So-
Oh. With
So in
land and
other words, they
everything.
had a house,
Yes, that's awesome.
and then
yes.
of course if they wanted a family, they had their own house.
Yes, they had to
And-
pay the
and-
taxes,
and-
council tax. Yes.
And the only job that I was offered by the government, I was actually down at Selsdon. I probably told you.
That's
And so they had the gas pipe.
Gas.
You
Yes.
remember when they had North Sea gas? Well, they had to dig. They wanted people to dig trenches
Yes.
so they could lay all this North Sea gas.
Oh yes, and
I was doing the job at Selsdon, and one bloke said, "Well, if you can get to a certain job, the blokes will pick you up,
yes.
and you get your money. What do you do with it after that week?" Well, see, some were clever. They
Yes.
would use that, and they will put that into their own account.
Yes.
And when they got enough and married, that money would have gone on a house. And,
Yes.
and that's how some of these youngsters actually
Started the work, the
work.
stuff.
And then eventually, when they did get a better house, they probably have a family, and you'll be saying, "Well, how did they pay their house off?"
Hard work.
And it was hard work, but what
Yes.
he means is, at the end of the day, that was their life.
Yes.
And then, like you said, whatever their children did, that was their business. But we mean that's how some of them actually started their life. They wasn't worried. They have a good evening, but their main interest, and that's how my niece.
Your niece work, yes.
That's
you,
how
how
my
they started.
niece. That's
Yes.
how my niece got it, and she tried to do it with my sister, my sister and Pat. But of course, he found the place, and he said to my sister, because they wanted a house
Yes.
up in Lincolnshire. See, my sister said, "Well, you'll have to go out to work." And Yvonne and the others, the other side of the family did it.
Yes.
And he said, eventually we'll have a house. But
Okay.
my sister didn't have enough. And of course, in the end, Pat, the other Pat, he flew off somewhere else. We never did hear him know what happened to him.
Yes.
And I had the two girls. And of course, my sister had no choice but offer the council house. But she did have a house.
Yes.
When they left up at where we lived at Waldenham then.
Yes.
And he said, we're going all up to Lincolnshire, see? And
Yes.
and
what happened to
and then I said, why are you going all up that way? Because he had to look for work.
Okay, Lincolnshire.
Yeah, we had
Yes.
to look for work. Now, one went to Norwich, one somewhere else, and there wasn't work round this way much.
Yes, and what happened to the house? Yes.
And of course, my sister, of course, she went in the house, and so of course, they lost the house.
Oh, yes.
And
Well,
lost
sell it or something.
And yeah, we lost the house
Yes.
just outside Grantham, matter of fact. And anyway, and so my sister, he went his way, and so my sister just carried on, and that's how she managed it. But she could have had her own house.
Yes.
And then my oldest sister thought different. So in the end, she went out, who she was going with, the bus driver, as I call him. Harry.
Yes.
In the end, they did started to buy a house, but of course she couldn't make it because of the cancer. But
she gets cancer.
at least her money, and they were going to buy another property left down there.
Yes.
But he had sense, and in the end it all went pear shaped. But what I'm saying is basically, my sister had managed it. She would have had their own house.
Yes.
But like you said, at the end of the day, but if you don't put that work in.
Yes.
But the younger sister, of course, and ended up that the council had to operate. She's in a care home at the moment. But
Yes.
But it's not a home. You've still got your own door, but it's owned by Arms House somewhere now.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, it suits her, and for the girls, they're all in their own. They got security doors. As soon as you touch the front door,
Yes.
the door automatically locks. So
Okay.
if you can't get in, you have to go to the warden and get a key if you lock yourself out.
Okay. Yes. Yes. So,
And,
so when he goes home, it was
That's the
yes.
same as me here. We're not.
Yes.
That key lock was something I'll have to put outside because that locked door could shut on you.
He shuts the door.
And that's
Yes.
why I've got the emergency alarm there, so because I'm
Yes.
on my own. But
Yes.
but I could be anywhere. But what you mean is, when you get that chance for a house,
Yes.
this couple made quite a money. And all this his wife did was, as you know, like a bloody Air Force base. All the girls would do, there'd be the cleaning, all the general bits.
Yes.
And what they did, and the boys earned the money on the oil, and then every so often they could come home.
Yes.
And really, they was earning the money, and when there was enough money, you put the money on the house.
Okay.
So for a young couple,
yes. Also.
you was making good money.
Yes.
But all it off, because you knew the oil was only going to be limited, which is the stupid part of it. They said they should have carried on. I don't know what happened, whether the oil ran out. Or
The oil ran out.
That was in Shetlands.
Yes.
And anyway, I did get to the Orkneys. My mother would laugh. It was only less than 20-minute run.
Yes.
I'd be stupid, wouldn't it, after all that bloody wasn't
20 hours run. 20 hours.
20 minutes.
20 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, on a little, little plane.
Yes.
And it was 20 minutes, and Mother said, "How are we going to get in there?" I said,
Oh.
"I don't know." Anyway, but I didn't get to Shetland, and they said if the sea is rough, but anyway, we done the train service, and then
Yes.
the planes were owned by the Royal Bank of Scotland, I think.
Okay.
But what he means is,
Yes.
at the end of the day, if if you could earn the money,
Yes.
you had the house, and my sister did start it, but something happened, and so she ended up back in the council house. But she could have had her own house. I did got a picture, I think, in one of my books,
Yes.
and just outside. And that's why you hear the word. There was a village called. It's laughable. It's called like Gonaby, and we said, gone where?
Gone where? Gonna be?
I know,
Gonna be.
it's so laughable because
Yes.
a lot of it was came over from the Scandinavian people when the Vikings and all the rest came over.
Yes.
And a lot of the names all along the coast. And
Where Gonaby?
even in Essex, there's a place where it's still connected with the
Yes.
with the Vikings. When the Vikings came over, they took the girls over, and we reckon to this day that some of the names to this day, and they act like sometimes Vikings, don't worry.
Yes.
But they found connections with them. They found bits of the Vikings that got to Iceland, and they reckon they got to America in something, and all they had to was these narrow boats.
Yes.
And how they rode through the storm. But I was told.
Yes.
You had to watch what the storm was doing.
I don't know. You have to wear balloons in that time.
Sometimes you can go across the Atlantic and it's like a mill pond.
Yes.
And another time it's up. It's
down, up, and
it's so unpredictable.
Waves.
And
yes.
even the QE2, there's a picture of it battling against the storm. And another time, and it takes about 2-3 days, something like that.
Yes.
But like you said, people are willing to. But it's pictures of it, and they reckon they got to Iceland, and one or two places, and the boats, and they still copy the boats. If you go to parts of Denmark and so on, you can still see the designs of the boats, and they still got the pictures. That's where I wanted to go.
Yes.
Was to go to Denmark and do that. But I've had all the details, but I didn't get there. That'd be one place that I would wanted to go.
Yes.
If I could get a chance, because if you want to look at history and a book, I was top of the class for history. Goodness knows it wasn't much good for much else sometimes, because the spelling was terrible. But the knowledge was that good. And what I'm saying basically, it's never left me. And there was a weakness. I got pulled back for something, no reason, and all of a sudden, like you said, the mind suddenly changed, and I had to race.
You had to race to where?
Race forward in my mind.
Why you had to race to?
Because, I said my mind was racing.
Why racing to? Why your mind? Why?
The reason why it was racing is because certain things I was interested in do, and your mind somehow had held back. So what it did, you race forward.
So you figured to do a marathon?
Well, it's not that your mind has got to catch up. So everything.
Oh, yes.
So it teaches you faster.
Yes.
And puts into things, and all of a sudden certain things get behind, but you suddenly realise, and then suddenly people said, was funny, he was never good at that. And one day, by God, where did he get all that from? And it's the brain in the brain picking up, and what it's done,
so
even today, the mind wants to catch up what it's lost.
It's happening, yes.
It's strange. It's a very strange thing.
I don't know, sometimes the mind goes like a genius, sometimes
and I found when I was younger,
yes.
And since it all depends who you're with.
Yes.
And sometimes I can feel Pat, even in the mind of my wife.
Yes.
And what she's doing, it's like helping you on.
Yes.
And sometimes, and all through the service, I spoke, some songs, and you can hear. You can see, not the eyes wasn't running with water. You don't, as you get older, your eyes don't water. They just tend to water, but they don't run like tears. And what happens is, but the mind was saying, come on, you're doing it. And it's an encouragement. She's not there, but it's in the mind.
Yes.
And what it does, and sometimes you can hear it singing and you just cry. In your words, you can cry. You can see it crying, and tears come.
What are you crying for?
Because it's a shock of her gone.
Oh, who was gone?
My wife had passed.
Your wife? Oh, my goodness.
And you never forget. It's like a remembrance.
Yes.
And what it does, sometimes little things come up, and then like while I've got pictures around, you can remember and say, well, that's Lord Tom, that's something, and you teach yourself back again.
Yes.
And if you're a person historic, you want to look up and find something historic. So all the TV, the computers and everything.
Yes.
You feel, I'll have a go at that. And a friend who's down there used to work on the railway, and I've seen him before, and he was telling me about it, and I said, Cool, he said. What we? So I said, by the rights, when I was talking about this signal box where you put the
Yes, the
levers
levers.
and how the train, how they work from one box to another.
Yes.
And anyway, and one said to me, he said, "Where do you get all the knowledge from so easy?"
Oh.
And what's happened is,
Yes.
it's bits up history. History was strong,
Yes.
and the worry of Pat and anything, but instead of holding me back,
Yes.
it's sort of helping me forward.
Go forward. Yes.
And of course, what it means is I felt I don't have to worry. I'm not worrying in my mind. I'm not
Yes.
getting, a fear that something there. I feel something pushing me and stops me pulling into a corner.
Yes.
In other words, it's lifting you up and
Lifting you. The
and
Holy
bringing-
Spirit.
and
The Holy Spirit lifting you up.
yeah, and if what
Yes.
it's doing, it's encouraging you. See something, and you must go and see this.
Yes.
So instead of lowering back,
Yes.
your mind is teaching you things on.
Yes. The Holy Spirit.
And anybody said what he
to
said.
do better.
That is what it is, and also the other argument to the end of that argument, that if you was on your own completely
Yes.
and there's nothing around,
Oh, your mind goes
you-
kaput.
your mind gradually goes downhill,
Yes, goes downhill. Yes.
and unless something comes up,
Yes.
and you-
Friends.
you need somebody to boost yourself up.
Yes,
what happens,
true.
the things that you knew
Yes.
and what it does.
Well, you need to
Which-
study books.
And if you're on your own, and also
Yes.
another thing, she noticed it as well. What it is, you tend to repeat things twice over without thinking, and
Oh.
you're thinking.
Never knew
and
that.
when I got a friend, he picks up, and he was telling me something happened 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
And what it is, he's on his own, and because there's nobody there to catch you up.
Oh,
and what you do,
yes.
you get set in in
Ah.
a little way.
Yes, unless you read a book or something like that. Yes,
and
I
what
know.
it is, you're not teaching yourself forward.
Yes.
He was
it's
telling me
true.
about the story of the kangaroo hammer.
Can you read books?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
you
what
read
he
the
was
books?
telling me,
Yes.
when we were digging holes out,
Yes.
we were digging out great flints, everything.
Yes.
And what his story goes, they bought this new machine in to
Yes.
help so he can dig through the old clay and the chalk and whatever,
Yes.
with a kangaroo hammer which vibrates as it goes down, it breaks.
Yes.
And what he done, he couldn't handle it or something, and
Who cannot handle it?
the bloke that was doing it,
Yes.
he showed how it works,
Yes.
and it done the job. But the trouble is, he's one of those types of person that money wasn't good enough. He wanted more money,
Yes.
and what he tend to do, which they never gave him the money in the end,
How much did you used to pay in them days doing the holes?
was quite not quite 100% sure of all of it. But what I'm saying is, it
Yes.
helped to dig the holes. Well, and they said, well, it vibrates. As it vibrates, it bangs in the ground. So instead of pushing the fork in,
Yes.
it would go down deeper, and
Yes.
then you shut. Well, what happens is there's a certain amount of vibrating in the hand.
Yes.
And what he was,
They can give you the
and
shakers
what he was trying to do
Yes.
was that when he was digging it out
Yes.
in this vibration, and you know what they think he was doing.
What?
Well, they thought as it vibrated
Yes.
with a hand,
Yes.
he thinks,
Yes.
on a medical point of view,
Yes.
that he would get shakes.
No, I'm very sure the shakes, yes.
And if he got too much of it,
Yes.
he thought, I can apply it because I can get it as a medical point
Oh,
of view. See,
wow.
and what the and
It
there,
takes
there
later.
was no proof.
Yes.
There was no proof that he had a medical condition.
Oh, yes, in
And
these
what
days,
he
no.
was trying to
Everybody
do-
to work or no?
He was what
Yes.
he was trying to do was trying to
Yes.
get money from something,
Yes.
getting money out, which he had no medical proof at all.
Oh, for the
and
for
he
the
was
hard
a
work they
cunning
have.
bugger, the cunning that is.
Yes.
And what they wanted to do, in the end, he never got it
Okay.
because
Yes.
they dragged it and dragged it and dragged it.
Oh,
So-
the big company.
In other words, it went on for a couple of months or more.
Yes.
Anyway, and in the end, as you know, there's no answer, is because if they're not going to do it within a certain limit,
Yes.
it means they're not going to bother, are they?
Oh, I haven't got a clue. I don't
In
know the
other
law.
words, he thought he was going to get extra money. And
Yes.
anyway, he never got it.
Okay.
Because I found, but trouble is with him, he tells me things that happened many years ago.
Yes.
And
Are you still speaking to him?
oh yeah, I know him. So
Where he are right now? Where he live?
he lives in Caterham.
Okay, are you still speaking to him?
I still speak because we both work together, you know.
Yes.
Things. But what he means is, this bloke was hoping he'd get money out of the authorities.
The authorities, yes.
And he said, but you got to get proof, and that
Proof.
they wouldn't.
He's still checking and he's...
Well, he gets you get
the
little
checks.
of it, but what he means,
Yes.
it's not. It wasn't up to the medical standard.
Oh, yes, I hear you.
If it
Yes.
affected the brain or it affected
Yes.
something different, they might have looked at it.
Yes.
But what a silly thing to. But instead of him changing what he did
Yes.
this week,
Yes.
he'd tell me what he did 3 weeks ago, and of course the reason of it is nobody to speak to.
Oh.
So of course your mind only thinks round a certain
Around.
thing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that isn't good for you, because what happens is as you get older,
It's getting bad. Yes.
It's a form. I tell you what it is. It's a medical term called schizophrenia. It means a form of fits.
Focus it. Okay.
It's called schizophrenia.
Schizophrenia.
And what it means is you
Yes.
think of it in your mind, and your mind goes all over the shop.
Around. Okay.
I think it's called something schizophrenia, but it's
Yes.
it's a medical condition.
Okay.
And what it is, it's what you do in it, and suddenly your mind, it's like your head going round.
Yes. I
Or
heard
your
you.
body, or your something that's not quite operating.
Yes.
And what it is, it's usually done. It's through the nerves in the
Oh.
body,
Okay. Yes.
and it's a medical condition,
Yes.
and it's something called schizophrenia or
Schizophrenia.
It's a medical term. It's
Oh.
a thing that none of us would want, because what it is,
It's terrible.
it's a terrible condition. What it means
yes.
is it's looking at something, and your mind is over there, and you're
Yes.
watching something there, and then you get.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it gets.
Women can get it. Schizophrenia when they get in the children's.
Yeah,
So
but
that's women's get it.
it's something to do. It's a nasty thing. In
Yes.
other words, it can affect.
Yes.
I think it's something in it. It's the nerves, something in it. I don't know.
All right. I haven't got a clue.
No, but
It's a mental thing.
it's a mental. And
Yes.
what I'm saying is, and sometimes the kids will take it over. Oh, there goes John. Oh God, bother about you.
Oh.
You know, and
Yes.
he's quite pleasant. Nothing wrong with him. Pleasant. And
Well, they have to
he'll
take
go like
lithium.
this, or you go, all right, John,
Oh,
and you can
yes.
That's another thing. But what it
Yes.
means in the mind, you'll be going, yes, all right,
Yes.
and he's going like that, and you're thinking, poor sod. But you don't. There's not much you can do. All you can do is. But I think today there's a lot more treatment things you can do.
Yes. They have lithium or stuff
But
like that.
I used to see a lot of it in the Warming Park. You used to have people of all sorts. There was nothing wrong. They could work.
Yes.
And Father used to have to go up and get the sawmill,
Yes.
the sawdust for the pigs,
Yes.
and the little vans going up those hills. And how they got up those hills, I don't know. They're only half the power of these modern bloody lorries.
Yes. The lorries. Yes. It's
But
shaking
only,
like flat.
only half the power of these modern lorries. I just said
Yes.
they were small, but they had to carry sawdust. And when it got a bit wet from Woodside sawmills,
Yes.
and we used to take it up to Walden by ourselves, and you know what the roads are like.
No, very.
They go like that and around like
Yes.
that.
Oh, what?
And
yes.
what it says, and my father did drive one day, and I got in, and anyway, many years later, I run into somebody who was a charge hand.
I what?
He was a charge hand up there,
A charger. Yes.
or charge hand, and
What is a charger?
a charge hand,
Charge hand. What is a charge hand?
and somebody in charge of it,
Oh.
of anybody. It's a charge.
Of everything.
Yeah,
Oh.
he's sort of bustle. It keeps things in order. And other
Yes. I
And
heard you.
what it was, I shouldn't have been with my father. He said, and you know, and
You went with your father.
I did, but you know, you get one of them that could help out. So that would to get the sawdust onto the lorries, and what it was for the pigs up at Wallingham Park.
Oh, you had the
But,
pigs,
Of course,
nice.
that's all gone now, and it's a housing estate now.
Yes.
And the footpath's still there. There's two lovely pubs up there if you're interested for a drink.
Yes.
there's-
What is that? What is that? What is that?
That's Warlingham and
Warlingham,
and
yes.
Farley. If you want to drink any time. there's
Okay, I
two
don't know
good
what they call the pub. Haven't got a clue.
Well, one is the I think one is the hay cut and one is something.
Silk cutter.
Yeah, but there's two pubs close
Yes,
there.
oh.
But like you said, if you're interested in drink,
Yes, I don't
and
think. Yes.
you go there on the bus, so you don't. Both of them served by the bus. I can get the bus to there
Okay.
if you
Yes.
ever want a drink like that.
Mm,
And you
we
can,
can
get
go one day.
You can get a milk and everything. Anyway, what I'm saying is, but I knew it from old days. And anyway, and occasionally I've had some good meals up there.
That's awesome.
But like you said, it's one of those things that comes up. But,
Yes.
no, I've had some good times.
Mm.
But anyway, many years later, they had something up at Farley Court, which is the big house.
Farley coat.
And they wanted the story. What happened to at
To whom?
to the old hospital that used to be at Warlingham Park, we
Yes.
used to call it. Anyway, when I went down there, his wife turned up, and I said, "Oh yes, I can remember that place when I was 50, about 14, 15."
Yes.
And when the people were at this,
In the 70s.
yeah, and what it was, there was some of them they didn't know where to do it. It was known as a Croydon Asylum.
Oh, Croydon. Oh.
I mean-
He was interred on the Croydon Asylum.
And in other words, it was an old-fashioned word for those that were not quite
Oh.
all there.
For thousands. For the little out of their mind.
Yeah, and it was a
Yes.
special hospital, and now, of course, they can control it.
Yes.
And they also control people that got spine trouble and all that.
Oh.
But they got to get them from when they're babies almost.
Yes. Yes.
And then there was people that,
Spine bifida.
yeah, and then there was things that grew different.
Bifida spine. Yes.
They grew different. One actually fact,
Yes.
they had one child and they couldn't understand an extra bump in the middle of the behind.
Oh.
And you know what it
heavens.
was?
No, what it was.
It was beginning years ago when we must have been animals and left the stump.
Oh, they have
And like
a tail.
like a tail.
We have a tail. Young
And
chickens have
then what
tails.
they done now,
Yes.
they stop that before it even grows.
Yes.
So when you're a baby, you don't see it, but
Yes.
a baby with a fine
Some people have tails.
with a tail. But anyway,
Yes.
and then they found all sorts of things, and they can stop that before it gets seen.
Yes.
This mental thing now
Yes.
found a baby with an adult head. What do you think of that? The head had grown faster than the body.
Oh, yes. They,
And there was nothing wrong with them. They were lovely kids to get on with.
Yes,
That was
yes.
down at Wallington, Carshalton.
Okay. Yes.
That's a children's hospital, by the way.
Okay.
I knew from one of the girls told me. She
Yes.
said,
Oh,
that's a
okay.
special-
Investments. All right. Oh, Madonna.
You know.
Yes.